The jungle was long behind them. After days of following the ancient map, Jake and Billy found themselves standing at the edge of the forbidden desert. A vast, treacherous wasteland said to be cursed. The wind howled, kicking up clouds of sand that stretched out endlessly before them.
I've never liked deserts. They're dry, too hot, and too many things trying to kill you.
Well, you're in for a real treat then. The map says the treasure lies somewhere beyond this desert. We just have to survive the crossing first.
With the map in hand and the desert stretching out before them, the adventurers pressed on. Every step sunk into the shifting sands, and the heat bore down on them, but they were undeterred.
We've been through worse, but this heat, it's brutal.
Stay focused, Jake. The desert's a test. If we're not careful, it'll bury us before we find anything.
Hours passed, and the desert seemed endless. The heat was relentless, and the sandstorms grew stronger. But still, the artifact in Jake's hand pulsed with a faint light, guiding them forward.
This artifact better be leading us somewhere real, Billy. I'm starting to think we're walking in circles.
Trust it. The map and the artifact haven't led us wrong yet. Besides, there's always something at the heart of the desert. Something ancient.
Suddenly, the ground beneath them shifted. The sand swirled violently, forming a vortex that dragged them down. They struggled to stay on their feet as the desert itself seemed to turn against them.
What the hell? The ground's moving.
Quicksand. Don't panic, Jake. Keep moving towards solid ground.
Fighting against the quicksand, they barely made it to solid ground. The vortex subsided, leaving them breathless and covered in sand, but alive.
That was too close. If the whole desert's like this, we're in for a rough ride.
The desert doesn't want us to find what's hidden out here. But that just means we're getting closer.
As the storm died down, they noticed something in the distance. Half-buried ruins, ancient and weathered by time. The artifact pulsed brighter, as if guiding them toward the ruins.
Look, over there. Ruins. That has to be what we're looking for.
Seems like the desert's keeping its secrets well hidden. Let's see what's left of this place.
As they approached the ruins, the air grew colder, and the wind seemed to whisper through the broken pillars. There was something eerie about this place. Something alive.
This place feels wrong, like it's been waiting for us.
Ancient places like this always have a story to tell. Just hope we don't become part of it.
They reached the center of the ruins, where a massive stone door stood, covered in ancient carvings. The same symbols etched into the artifact were engraved into the door. This was it. The entrance to the next part of their journey.
Looks like we found our way in, but I don't like the look of this.
The door's sealed tight. We'll need the artifact to open it. Let's hope whatever's inside isn't worse than the desert.
As Jake held the artifact closer to the door, the carvings began to glow brighter. Ancient mechanisms groaned to life, and the door slowly slid open, revealing a dark passage beyond.
It's working. The artifact's opening the door.
Whatever's inside, it's been waiting a long time. Let's hope we're not walking into another death trap.
The air inside the passage was cold and stale, as if it had been sealed for centuries. The walls were covered in ancient symbols, their meaning long lost to time.
Feels like we've stepped into a tomb. I don't like this one bit.
Stay sharp. We're not the first ones to come looking for treasure here. And we might not be alone.
As they ventured deeper into the passage, they began to hear faint echoes. Footsteps, breathing, or perhaps the temple itself coming to life. The further they went, the louder the sounds became.
You hear that? Sounds like something's moving.
I hear it. Stay ready, Jake. We've got company.
Without warning, the passage walls shifted, and ancient stone guardians emerged from hidden alcoves, their eyes glowing with an unnatural light. The trap had been sprung.
Guardians, we've been set up.
I knew this was too easy. Get ready, Jake. These things aren't going down without a fight.
The stone guardians attacked with terrifying speed, their weapons crashing down with a force that shook the ground. Jake and Billy dodged and weaved, but the narrow passage left little room to escape.
These things are fast. Watch your back, Billy.
I'm not going down here. Aim for the joints, it's the only way to break them apart.
Billy fired an arrow, striking one of the Guardians in the knee joint. The stone cracked, and the Guardian stumbled, giving Jake the opening he needed.
Nice shot, Billy. Let's take these things down.
Focus, Jake. We've still got more of them coming.
With the Guardian weakened, Jake charged forward, his machete slicing through the cracked stone with precision. The Guardian crumbled, but the others were closing in fast.
That's one down. Let's see how tough the rest of you are.
Don't get cocky, Jake. There's too many of them.
The passage filled with the sound of stone grinding against stone as more Guardians emerged from the walls. There seemed to be no end to them.
There's too many of them. We need to find another way out.
The map shows a passage up ahead. If we can make it through these things, we might have a chance.
With no time to spare, Jake and Billy fought their way through the Guardians, their weapons cutting through stone as they pushed toward the passage ahead.
Keep moving, Billy. We can't let them corner us.
I'm right behind you. Just get us through that passage.
The Guardians were closing in fast, but the passage was just ahead. With one last burst of energy, Jake and Billy sprinted for the exit, dodging stone weapons as they ran.
We're almost there, just a little farther.
Go, 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 they're right behind us.
Just as they reached the passage, the stone Guardian stopped, as if bound by some unseen force. The adventurers had escaped, but the danger was far from over.
They stopped, but why?
The passage must be protected. Whatever's beyond here, it's worse than the Guardians.
With no other choice, Jake and Billy stepped into the passage, the cold air sending a shiver down their spines. They had escaped the Guardians, but the true danger still lay ahead.
Let's keep moving. Whatever's in here, we'll deal with it.
One step at a time, Jake. This place is only going to get worse.
The further they ventured into the passage, the colder the air became. It was as if the very walls of the temple were draining the warmth from their bodies. The stone beneath their feet was slick with moisture, and the silence was deafening.
This place, it's not right. It feels like we're being watched.
We probably are. These old temples always have a few tricks up their sleeves. Keep your guard up.
The passage opened into a small chamber, and in the center, a strange stone pedestal stood, surrounded by ancient symbols glowing faintly in the darkness.
Another altar. But this one's different.
Look at the symbols. They're not just carvings, they're warnings.
Jake held the artifact up to the pedestal, and the symbols glowed brighter. A low rumble filled the chamber, and the floor beneath them shifted.
The artifact. It's activating something.
Careful, Jake. We don't know what we're triggering.
The ground beneath their feet suddenly gave way, sending them tumbling into darkness. They hit the ground hard, their weapons clattering to the side as they struggled to regain their bearings.
It didn't see that coming.
We just triggered a trap. We need to move before this gets worse.
They landed in a cavern, much deeper underground. The walls were lined with jagged rocks, and the air was thick with the smell of damp stone. But it wasn't the cavern itself that caught their attention. It was the massive stone guardian towering before them.
Not again. Another one.
This one's different, bigger, stronger. Get ready, Jake.
The guardian moved with surprising speed, its massive stone fists slamming into the ground, where Jake had stood just moments before.
This thing's fast, too fast for its size.
Stay sharp. We need to figure out its weak spot.
Billy fired an arrow, aiming for the guardian's glowing chest. The arrow struck true, but the guardian barely flinched.
That barely slowed it down. We need something stronger.
Aim for the joints, Jake. It's the only way to break it down.
With no time to waste, Jake charged at the guardian, aiming for its leg joints. His machete struck hard, sending cracks rippling through the stone.
Let's see how well you move with a broken leg.
Nice hit. Keep going, Jake.
The guardian roared in pain, its movements becoming slower and more erratic. Jake and Billy pressed their advantage, striking at the Guardian's weakened joints.
It's weakening. Let's finish this.
Aim for the head. That's where it'll do the most damage.
With one final strike, Jake delivered a crushing blow to the Guardian's head, shattering the stone and sending the massive creature crashing to the ground.
That's it. It's down.
Don't let your guard down yet. These places always have one last surprise.
The Guardian's body crumbled, and as the dust settled, they saw it. Hidden chamber beneath the cavern floor, revealed by the Guardian's collapse.
Look, there's something down there. Looks like the real treasure's been hidden all along.
Now we're talking. Let's see what we've uncovered.
They descended into the hidden chamber, where the air was thick with the scent of old stone and forgotten secrets. At the center of the room stood a pedestal, and on it, a small, glowing object, the true treasure.
This is it, the treasure we've been after.
Be careful. Nothing's ever this easy. There's always a price.
Jake reached out, his hand hovering over the glowing object. The air around it shimmered with energy, and the moment he touched it, a wave of power surged through the room.
I've got it, but something's happening.
Step back. The temple's reacting to it.
The walls trembled, and the floor beneath them cracked open. The entire chamber shook violently, and the sound of ancient mechanisms echoed all around them.
The whole place is coming down. We need to get out of here.
Run! There's no time to think.
They sprinted for the exit, dodging falling debris, and leaping over cracks in the floor. Every step was a race against time as the chamber collapsed behind them.
Move, Billy. This place is coming down fast.
I'm right behind you. Just keep running.
They barely made it out of the hidden chamber as the final pieces of the ceiling collapsed behind them. Exhausted but alive, they stood in the quiet darkness of the cavern, the treasure in hand.
That was too close, but we got it. The treasure's ours.
Let's just hope it was worth the price.
The glowing object in Jake's hand pulsed with energy, its power undeniable. But as they looked at it, they both knew that this was only the beginning. The true treasure was still out there, waiting to be found.
This thing. It's more than just treasure. It's a key to something bigger.
Then I guess our adventure's far from over.
They stood at the edge of the cavern, the treasure in hand, and the unknown stretching out before them. Their journey had only just begun, and the world was waiting for them.
Let's find out what this thing unlocks, Billy. The real adventure's just starting.
Agreed. The world's full of secrets, and we're just getting started.
And so, with the treasure in hand and the promise of greater discoveries ahead, Jake and Billy set off once more. The legendary adventurers were far from finished.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
The world was wide, the dangers many, but for Jake and Billy, the adventure never ended. Whatever lay ahead, they were ready.
Let's find the
that treasure.